Hey, welcome back, fantasy football owners and GMs. You're looking for that edge. We got a quarter of the season done now. How you doing out there? Are you 4-0? Are you 3-1? Are you 0-4? Well, I'll tell you what, our fantasy football expert, Vincent Frank, has given me his picks for sit-em and start-em, and so we're going to give them to you right now. Let's start with the quarterbacks. After a dismal showing against the Buffalo Bills in Week 3, where he threw 4 interceptions, Sam Howell of the Washington Commanders bounced back impressively in an overtime loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. The sophomore quarterback connected on 29 of his 41 pass attempts, racking up 290 yards in the air with a touchdown and, crucially, no interceptions. While he may not have lit up the fantasy scoreboard, he is consistently solid throughout the game. Sam Howell, start him. It's unmistakable that Joe Burrow's calf issue has significantly hampered his performance over the past 3 games. The highest earning player in the NFL first sustained the injury during training camp and exacerbated it in Week 3, leading to a noticeable dip in his stats. The optimistic outlook is that he will be nearing full health by Week 5 as the Bengals face the Arizona Cardinals. This matchup is something we're looking forward to capitalizing on in our fantasy football decisions this week. The Cardinals have given up the 7th highest number of fantasy points to quarterbacks this season. Just last week, the 49ers and Brock Purdy had 300 yards passing and 20 of 21 on attempts. This matchup presents a prime opportunity for Burrow to regain his form. Joe Burrow, start him! We're doing something different this week. We're going to combine our QB sit-em. Yes, 2 quarterbacks, Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy, face off in the game of the week. Of course, 49ers host the Cowboys. In the case of Dak Prescott, in his previous 2 playoff starts against the 49ers, Prescott has had a hard time notching only 2 touchdowns while throwing 3 interceptions, contributing to Dallas's meager total of 29 points. This trend is unlikely to change in their Week 5 matchup in Santa Clara, especially given the 49ers' defensive prowess. So far, the 49ers defense has allowed only 4 aerial touchdowns while picking off 5 passes. And with Brock Purdy heading into what is shaping up to be a great game, some fantasy owners might be tempted to start him, especially given his eye-popping numbers through the first 4 weeks. However, even with the Cowboys cornerback Trayvon Diggs out for the season, it's worth exercising caution. Dallas's defense has been remarkably stingy, allowing just 667 yards along with 2 touchdowns and snagging 7 interceptions over 4 games. So while Purdy's early career performance has been impressive, he could face a significant challenge against the formidable Dallas defense. Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy, sit 'em. On to the running backs. Rookie 3rd-round pick Deebo Achane from Texas A&M has been a fantasy football revelation over the past 2 weeks, accumulating a staggering 353 total yards and 6 touchdowns on just 33 touches. That equates to an average of 10.7 yards per touch and a touchdown every 5.5 touches. While these astronomical numbers are unlikely to be sustainable, don't expect him to slow down significantly in Week 5. He faces a New York Giants defense that has allowed the 6th most fantasy points to running backs through the first 3 weeks, setting the stage for another standout performance from Achane. Deebo Achane, start him! Since stepping into the RB1 role for the Los Angeles Rams after the trade of Cam Akers, sophomore Kyren Williams has been electric, amassing 292 total yards and 4 touchdowns in just 3 games. His momentum peaked in Week 4 with a 103-yard, 2-touchdown performance against the Colts. However, Williams faces a formidable obstacle in Week 5 against the Philadelphia Eagles, who have allowed the fewest fantasy points to running backs this season, conceding just 185 yards and a single touchdown across 4 games. Given the Eagles' stout run defense and the high-scoring offense, the Rams may have to lean more on quarterback Matthew Stafford and the passing game in this one. Kyren Williams, sit him. Now on to the wideouts. Ja'Marr Chase and Joe Burrow have long been heralded as a dynamic duo, and Chase has started showing signs of returning to form, reeling in 19 of his 24 targets for 214 yards over the past 2 weeks. Heading into Week 5, Chase has a favorable matchup against Arizona's defense that has struggled against wide receivers. Just last week, Brandon Ayuk caught all 6 of his targets for 148 yards against the Cardinals, who are showing a 72% completion rate against wide receivers in games this season. This sets the stage for what could be a breakout game for Chase. Ja'Marr Chase, start him. Despite being conspicuously absent from the target list in San Francisco's 35-16 win over Arizona, Deebo Samuel's recent rib and knee injuries might be to blame. Last week, Purdy seemed to favor Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey, connecting 13 out of 14 times for 219 yards. As the 49ers prepare to face one of the NFL's top pass defenses in the Cowboys, who've allowed only a 48% completion rate to wide receivers, Samuel's chances look slim. Expect Purdy to focus on safer options like McCaffrey and George Kittle in the upcoming matchup. Deebo Samuel, sit him. And finally, the tight end you must start in Week 5 is Tyler Higbee. Although his 2023 season hasn't quite lived up to the expectations, largely due to the emergence of Puka Nacua, he's showing signs of a resurgence. Over his last 2 games, Higbee has hauled in 10 catches for 135 yards. He's poised for a strong performance against the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that has struggled against tight ends this year, allowing an 85% completion rate and ranking second worst in fantasy points given up to the position. Tyler Higbee, start him. Cole Kmet has stood out as a silver lining for a struggling Bears team, catching 75% of his targets from Justin Fields and scoring 2 touchdowns. However, his prospects for Week 5 look challenging as he faces a Washington Commanders defense that has been stingy against tight ends, allowing just 83 yards over 4 games. Cole Kmet, sit him. All right, there you have it, fantasy football gurus. We appreciate you being back with us and listening to just a little bit of the sit and start from our very own Vincent Frank, our fantasy football expert, up on Sportsnaut.com. Make sure you check that out. Also, do us a favor. Make sure you subscribe to the channel here on YouTube to get all of our videos covering the NFL and fantasy football. Also, do us a favor. Like the video. Hit the notifications bell so you know every time we have a new video as well. You can get all of your NFL information up on Sportsnaut.com, and we certainly appreciate you being with us. Until next week, Scott Gulbransen, Sportsnaut.com. Good luck this week, fantasy owners.